You got to learn how to pray. I have a friend, she taught my daughter 4 years in church school, and she gave me a little sticker, and it says, prayer, the first response in all situations. We've got to learn how to pray. I was in a seminar yesterday, and some things started to be said, and the Holy Spirit said, pray. And I just started praying, and, it was just a game changer for me. Be true to you. That's so important. You got to be true to yourself. Develop your own unique style of coping. Our coping is different for everybody. As we differ in faces, we differ in need. And so you have to figure out how you cope. Some people use problem solving coping mechanisms. They have to come up with solutions. Some people use emotion, focused coping. I use both of them, where sometimes I like to vent, my anger to other people. Sometimes that's adaptive, sometimes that's maladaptive. I have to decide what it is. And so you have to develop your own unique style of coping, develop an attitude of gratitude. I think of things that are happening to people around the world. Think about the girls in Afghanistan, what the horrible time that they're going through, and the people in Haiti with the earthquake. And we need to be grateful for what we have in our lives. Use mindfulness techniques. I learned about mindfulness about 15 years ago, went to a seminar, and this taught me how to relax. And I had a graduate student, MSW student, who had been trained, and every week she would lead us in mindfulness techniques where we would close our eyes and she would just talk, and she just said soothing things. And it was very relaxing, because we don't know how to relax, and I'm talking about myself. I had to learn how to do this because I'm going all the time. And I don't know if you've heard about the acronym BUSY. BUSY stands for being under Satan's yoke. And so we've got to learn how to be still. And I wanted to tell you here at this junction, one of the strategies I would definitely suggest to you is an hour before you go to bed, because we're overstimulated. Turn off your computer, turn off your television. I like to have evening worship, and just get into that spirit of that atmosphere where you are just calming yourself down. Our mind is working all the time. We need to calm it down. Went to work it's probably been a couple of months ago. My coworker was there, and she had this aromatherapy thing, and you put water in it and put some fragrances in it. That thing was so good. It smelled so good. I bought myself one, and I love to put that on and put some soothing music on. It's wonderful to create a nice, relaxing attitude and atmosphere in my home. Learn to say no. I read this some years ago, that we need to practice saying no. And you should practice looking at yourself in the mirror and saying it 14 times a day. No, 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 no. We say yes far too much. We're doing far too many things. And we need to learn to say no. These are things that can help you have a happy life. Learn to love yourself and be comfortable with yourself. So many people don't like themselves, so let alone love themselves. So as you get older, you want to ease into, when you get older, you want to love yourself when you're young, but when you get older, you know yourself. And so there's some things that when you get old, you don't accept. You're like, okay, I'm not going to accept that. I know that's how I am. Like, that's not going to work. I was on a committee, in the last month, this is true story. I've gotten off of 2 committees. I'm like, one in the community and one at my job. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this right now. And so I've gotten off, I've got to take time for myself and not overdo it. And here are just a few resources for seniors. Of course, with the Older Americans Act, they established area agency on aging agencies, and they're not always fully funded as they should be, but they do provide services like caregivers and Meals on Wheels and counseling and senior centers where there's all kinds of activities and meals for seniors. And of course, the AARP, the American Association of Retired Persons. This is a very active organization that has really helped to improve the lives of seniors. They were also very instrumental in getting Medicare Part D medication coverage for seniors. They're a very powerful group. The church has always been an integral part of our life. and then volunteer work and having us families and friends as a support system. Develop a roster of songs that bring you through tough times. Those songs that lift you up, that, some songs that make you want to dance a little bit. My daughter from time to time shares with me songs that are just really upbeat. There's a song that she shared with me recently, Dr. Charles Hayes, and it's called Work It Out. And it is a work it out kind of a song. Or I like Mississippi Mass, I'm Not Tired Yet. I listened to that song twice and I'm not tired anymore. Fall back on texts that encourage you. We have Faculty Institute at Andrews University every year, and it's like a conference for our faculty. And I was asked to present on Thursday on how I implement faith, teach faith to my students. It was a panel of us, about 5-6 of us. And I realized, and I was sharing with them, that I realized how many students don't know the Bible. They don't know any scriptures. Even lifers, even students who went to church school all their life, you start a scripture thinking they should finish it. They don't know it, And so we need to, and I tell them all the time, you got to learn some scripture. You're going to be in a cave one day. You better have some scripture to give you some encouragement. So you need to fall back on scriptures that encourage you. And then I love this quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. I love Eleanor Roosevelt, and I love watching documentaries about her life. And she says, you must do the thing that you think you cannot do, and you can age gracefully. You can enjoy life, and you can have a healthy, prosperous life as you age. But you got to think that you can do it. This is my favorite quote in Spirit of Prophecy. The path where God leads the way may lie through the desert or the sea, but it is a safe path. And I just love that, because I think so many times we think we're out here blindly, we're walking, and I'm here to tell you that you're not, that God is with you every step of the way. You just have to believe that he is. He's going to lead you through. We have nothing to fear for the future unless we forget how God has led us in our past history. He is going to see us safely through the kingdom. He's going to see you safely through being a senior citizen. We just have to believe that he is. All righty. So with that, I will stop my share.
Wow. You gave us a lot to think about. That's incredible. As you were talking, I thought to myself, our seniors are going to have to get together, just to talk about, to debrief what we heard. But what I wanted to ask you about, and seniors, please put questions or thoughts in the chat, and we will address that. I've been reading a lot about social isolation, that seniors many times are at high risk for social isolation. And I'd like to know, if someone lives alone, what are some of the things that possibly they can do to remain connected?
Okay. I want to talk to you from two angles. One, somebody who's in the church and somebody that's not in the church.
Okay.
So somebody that's not in the church, I think that person should definitely develop a network of people, whether it's with their neighbors. We talk about this concept in social work, person and environment, and your environment is filled with many social supports, whether it's your neighborhood, whether it's your, maybe they volunteer, whether it's the senior center, the agency on aging, whether it's their family. There's so many ways that people can connect. I saw a story on the news about this retired police officer. He had been a good detective for many years, and he had no family. And what the police department did, they rallied around him. They fixed him meals. They took care of him. And when he died, they were there as his family. And so it doesn't have to be your family. There are people who don't have any family. And so you can find a network of people that can be there for you. If you're in the church, that widens your realm of social interaction tremendously, with friends, with reaching out to the widows in the community. So I had a very good friend. He was a doctor in our church, and he passed away a few months ago. And so one of the deaconess and myself and my daughter, we went to visit her. And usually when we go visit her, I always take things with me for her, but I was just so busy that day because we were going back to our church, and we had a busy weekend. And when we got there, and she lives about 45 minutes away from us, we got to her house. She had all kinds of food and snacks and drink for us. She prepared for us. She always does anyway. And she sent us away with all kinds of things. And so there's so many things. You've got to make yourself, I have a friend at church, he says, you got to make yourself a committee of one to reach out to people and not be an island of yourself. And I think so many times we say, well, I'm busy, I'm tired. And listen, I am very busy. I mean, I was asleep in a cold coma, and someone called me the other night and they said, hey, listen, I get calls all the time about referring people for counseling, or do you do it yourself? And and so I get those calls all the time. I have women that I'm working with who are in, sketchy situations. And so I am there as their own, they may have a therapist, but I'm their backup, church friend. And so I'm there giving counsel. And so, we've got to make sure that we are intentional. Here's the key word I'm going to give to you today: intentional about people. We don't want people to die alone, live alone, be alone. We need to be intentional. We should not be too busy that we can't reach a helping hand. I had a couple ladies in the church, they're older than I am. And so since I'm the younger of the four of us, when we see a need, we all pull our money together and we help those people. And so we've got to make ourselves a community of one to do that.
I know at our recent seniors chat, we were just talking about what makes our senior chat important to us. And one word that came out of the whole thing was connection. Mm-hmm. It's like this at Linwood, that is our way of connecting with other seniors and hearing what's happening in their lives. And one person said, when I hear what's happening in somebody else's life, it lets me know that I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important that we get proactive in just mm-hmm. making a call to somebody, just looking for opportunities, like you said, to reach out. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I found out as I was researching for today, and that is do something different. Do something that you don't normally do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's good to have a routine, but when you do the same thing the same way all the time, mm-hmm. it's very easy to get into a rut. Mm-hmm. And then, what follows behind that is depression or feeling sorry for yourself. Mm-hmm. But it's just so important to find something new to do or in a new way.
Right. And so let me give you some suggestions of some new things that we've done in the last year. I've done in the last year and a half since COVID. And so let me just start it with saying Zoom is a game changer. It's a game changer. I live in South Bend, and my some of my sisters live in Indianapolis, and we were planning a surprise. Well, first it started out as a surprise birthday party for my oldest sister, but then as time went on, you got to let her in. And then it just didn't happen because of COVID. And so then we planned a Zoom party with our family, and it was wonderful. And then we started doing Vespers every other Friday night with the family. And that was a way to connect. I'm a Sabbath school teacher and on the Sabbath school council. We've done Sabbath school dinner online, and we had gift prizes for our members who had the best meal and who had the best table set up. And we've done town hall meetings at school, at church. I've done it with our club officers, our club at Andrews Social Work Club, with my professional social work educators. We did town hall meetings because Zoom is a changer. My niece sends me a link every Sunday about tea and testimonies with her church. She's down in Georgia. Another friend of mine she's retired from Andrews, her and her sister and some other ladies from across the country, they do a ladies group every Thursday night. So I've been on their group nights with them. A good friend of mine works in the general conference. He used to live here in South Bend. And we did a birthday party. His wife did a birthday party for him. I think it was like 150, 60 people from around the world for Pastor Pola. And of course, whenever I need to do training with my daughter about something, she's like, oh, Mom, just jump on Zoom. And so, the computer can be a connecting, and you don't even have to be on the computer. You can call in, because some people may not have a computer. And so, it's whatever it is. My brother-in-law is a pastor down in Atlanta, Georgia. He's brought me in to sing for his church, and I've done it on the phone. And my sister-in-law, I've sung on the phone for her church, for their early prayer service at 7:00 on a Sabbath morning. And so we call this at Andrews building community. And so however it takes to connect and build community, I think that's what we should be willing to do.
This is sounding good. You're giving us some ideas of how we can build a stronger senior community at Linwood Temple. I'd like to hear from some of our listeners. If you want to put something in the chat, or Reese, could you unmute us? And someone may want to make some comments. And while you're doing that, if a person, has their morning devotions and, they study their Bible, but they still are finding themselves feeling a little down, sort of, a little depressed, what would you recommend?
Well, you're talking to a counselor, so I'm definitely going to say, go seek professional help. Maybe there's something there that somebody on the outside can be objective and point out and give you strategies that can help. And so don't feel like I should be able to handle this. Person should be able to take care of it all. No, there's no shame in going to talk to a professional, especially a Christian counselor, about what's going on. And I think that should be, something primary that we should be willing to do and that we should be encouraged to do.
Yes, yes. And why do some coping strategies work for some people and they just don't work for others?
Yeah. I think because we're all different. I just think that some people need more talking to. Some people, can pray about things and move forward. Other people, we're just different. Everybody's different. We're structured differently. We're being raised differently. We're socialized differently. And that's okay. And so we have to figure out what makes us work, what makes us happy, what makes our life joyful, and what makes it, meaningful, and I think that's really a nice word to think about is what gives us meaning, what gives us purpose. There've been times in my career I said, okay, why does the Lord want me here at Andrews, and every time I say that, God sends someone to me to encourage, to uplift, and he says, that's why I have you here, and I think we have to look out for our purpose, and that's really, really important. So we shouldn't be running away from that.
Right. And I think sometimes we would like for people to reach out to us more, but we forget that the Lord really can use us to reach out to others. As I was speaking to our seniors on Senior Chat, one person mentioned, when I listened to a program at our church where some of our young people were sharing some of the mental health challenges they had, she says, I thought, seniors are experiencing some of the same things. We are not as different as we are alike.
That's right. We have so many commonalities, and I think that we need to capitalize on that. My daughter, I have some friends, and they always say, your daughter's an old soul, because she's raised around old people, I guess. And she just loves being around older people too. And we've been blessed to have friends that have, poured into her, a lot of seniors, and and really help raise her, because it does take a village to raise a child. And I think that young people really should reach out to seniors, and seniors to young people. I have to tell you a story. I had a church mom, and she was about 92 years old, and my daughter was getting ready to go down to Oakwood. And so we would visit her every Sabbath afternoon because she had had a stroke. And after the stroke, she recovered, but she really didn't feel comfortable going back to church. And so we go see her every Sabbath afternoon. And so we were praying, we're about ready to leave. And so she's praying for us and praying for Star, and she gets to crying. She's like, oh, Lord bless her. And she's just crying. Her little Starry's going away to Oakwood and this and that. And Star opens her eyes and she looks at me and I'm looking at her and she's like, I can't even get my own mother to cry for me. She's happy I'm leaving. And my church mom. And she's crying. And she told me just the other week, she's like, Mother Brown will call me at Oakwood. And I just cried. She's the only person besides you I cried to. She's like, but it was so funny. She's like, I can't even get my own mother to cry. She's happy I'm leaving.
But you're hitting on a really good point, and that is we all should in some way be connected to a senior citizen.
Oh yeah.
Really,
yeah.
because
yeah.
I don't want to say they, but we as senior citizens, we have so much to offer.
Listen,
Wise
I told Sister Brian some funny stories about some of the singers in my church because they don't bite their tongue. They say what's on their mind. They don't care. That's just how they are. We have a good time. And I think they would be enriched if they would connect to a senior. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to start promoting that, with our young adults, saying to them, there used to be a commercial on TV about, have you hugged your child?
Yeah.
Have you hugged your child lately? Well, I'm going to say, have you called a senior citizen lately?
Right.
Because,
right.
That's a place of real wealth of wisdom. And I just think it's important, that intergenerational communication.
Oh yeah. My daughter went by one senior's house before she left to go back to Columbus, and she said, "Mom, she made me laugh so much. I just want to get on the floor and just laugh." She had me laughing, because they just, when you get old, you just say, "Well, I'm just gonna say what I want to. I have to just say what I want to, what I feel," And so it's just a wonderful experience. But I think so many times we miss out because we don't reach out.
Say that again.
We miss out because we don't reach out.
Yes.
Hi, can I make a comment, please?
Yes.
I just wanted to highlight something that you were saying that I just think that's so important. When you were talking about 5 points to remember regarding retirement. A lot of times I think that, number one, it's hard for me to think of myself as being a senior citizen. I'll be 60 this week, and if I don't even want to call, I'm sorry, I just can't go there yet. I'm not a senior citizen because I'm the one that likes to help senior citizens. So I'm not emotionally prepared. But anyway, you were talking about the 5 points, and a lot of times I think that we just think about financially being prepared for retirement, and I think that we all need to walk away with and even share with our friends. Like, I'm going to be talking to my girlfriends about this. Being socially prepared, financially prepared, emotionally prepared, spiritually and physically. All those 5 things are so important. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was like, because she's 70, and I was like, when are you going to go on and just stop working, girl? And she goes, and she was talking to me about some health issues. I said, I said, that's something that I think that we don't think about sometimes. We need to factor that in regarding, the health issues, and we have those, and we need to have a pot of money for that. But that, I just really do love your 5 points, and I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think that's so important because, and I'll highlight even the physical, because when my church mom had her stroke, her children lived in another state, and they wanted her to move there, and she was bound, and she was not close to her daughter. So she had two children, a son and a daughter, and she was not close to the daughter at all. And she was bound and determined she was not moving. And guess what? She did not move. She got herself together. She had the home care people come in there. She did what she needed to do. She didn't go nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got to prepare yourself. You have to have the mindset. You have to know your family. And she taught me that, that you got to know your family.
Yeah, but I'm going to be preaching these 5 points to my girlfriend. So,
Okay.
so thank
All
you
right.
so much, Dr. Davis.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello, this is
Hi.
Pat. Hi. I so enjoyed this seminar, Dr. Davis, and I just wanted to add a couple of thoughts that I have as a senior citizen. It was also hard for me to realize that I was getting older, and I am now a senior citizen. I've been for quite a while. I retired early. I wasn't really ready for it mentally. Maybe physically I was, because I was only 54. I started when I was a teenager and stayed with one company for 36 years. And I wasn't exactly prepared mentally for it. And so it was an adjustment for me. And so I had many of the things that we talked about today, I had to kind of do on my own, because I didn't have a lot of peers that were retired at 54 and
Right.
55. So I had to go out and seek, literature and seek things that I could do, to make it more palatable for me to be retired, at that young age. I do have a sister-in-law that'll be 94 tomorrow. And she is such a good example of someone that's been retired. She was in education, and someone that's been retired for many, many years. She has a sharp mind, but she keeps her mind. We didn't touch on this too much about things that you can do to really improve your brain and your brain power. Like she plays cards. I mean, she's not Adventist, but she plays bridge and canasta and all of those card games. She has an iPad. She keeps up on the latest iPhones and iPads, and she does, word find, and all of those crossword puzzles and all of these things to keep her mind sharp. And that's what, we need to do as seniors as well.
Right.
And one other thing, we both, have, and a lot of the people on the line too, have grandchildren. And, sometimes I only have one granddaughter and I have 3 grandsons. So, and I never had a daughter. And so sometimes I live vicariously through my granddaughter, but it's so good to see her growing and to have that relationship with a young person and to be able to spread some of the wisdom that I have gained over the years with her, as well as my grandson. So there's a lot that you can do. And I'm glad you mentioned the art, because we're planning on doing that next month.
Yay!
So travel is a wonderful thing for seniors. You can learn so much, and I don't want to take up all the time, but I'll just mention one other thing. If a senior really wants to, even if they can't do traveling, they can get on their computer and you can travel around the world, really, by just going to YouTube and looking at some of these travel programs, and it's wonderful, the things that we can do. So thank you for this seminar. It was great.
Oh, well, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. My sister does word puzzles and all those kinds of things too, to keep her mind sharp. She'll be 69 in 2 days. So I understand that.
Yes, it really helps.
Yeah. And we also, I didn't mention this, but seniors are also grandparents are doing a lot of caregiving for their grandchildren as well.
Yeah.
And we tend to do that in our community.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sister Fraction, I am so glad you mentioned the brain activity, because we were into social emotional. I forgot to talk about that, but many times, well, first of all, it is not a given that just because you're aging that you're going to have dementia or Alzheimer's. That is just not a given, all right? There are things that we can do to keep our brain as active as possible. And as you know, you called out some of them as far as the different games and that kind of thing. But something that appears as simple as going outside, it keeps your brain active because in your house, you are familiar with every nook and cranny. Right. But when you go outside, immediately your brain goes into a totally different response mode. It has to think about, okay, where am I going to step? And this is happening so automatic, you don't think about it, but you have to navigate not falling. You have to navigate, being safe. Is a car coming? Is it not coming? Immediately your brain or your eyes, all of the senses just go right into action. Oh, wow, the sky is beautiful. Oh, is it going to rain? Your brain becomes very activated and stimulated just because you went outside. So there are a lot of things like that that you can do. And like whether you're in a wheelchair or not, if you just sit on the front porch, I mean, how many birds are you hearing chirping? So I just think, yeah,
you're bringing up some wonderful points, Sister Bryant, because I like to walk on this middle school track, but there's seniors that walk around the peripheral of the school, and men and women. And there's this one lady, her husband drives his car because he kind of watches over her, but she's been doing this for years. And so that's one thing, you can get out and you can walk and you can go to museums and where you live. I live in an area where we have a lot of, farms. You can pick your own fruit and your flowers. And there's so many things that you can do. You can go antiquing, you can go window shop. There's so many things that can be done, the seniors can do, and you can look up in where you live. And I'm sure you guys have little attractions that you can go to, So there's things to be done.
I'd love to be walking on that beach behind you.
I know, me too. I was telling Sister Brian, I went to PMC today because we always have a special service. And I sat next to a doctor who was there from Hawaii. He was bringing his daughter. And I was like, I really wish I were in Hawaii right
now. Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes. Okay, then. Well, if there aren't any more comments, we want to thank Dr. Davis for giving us such a beautiful presentation. Not only did you give us facts and research, but you gave us your own personal experience. And that's what made it so rich. And like I said, when COVID is over, you have to come.
I'm coming.
And we'd love to have you.
Love to come and visit.
Okay, very good. Well, I'd like to thank everyone who has joined us on Zoom today. And normally the third Sabbath of every month is Family Ministries, but today we, at 3 o'clock, that's what I want to say, the third Sabbath at 3 o'clock, but today we did it at 4. So follow us. And each time we try to have something that's relevant to our church members. So enjoy the rest of the Sabbath, and we look forward to serving you again real soon. Bye-bye.